Coming to you live from the city that never sleeps, it's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and ladies and gentlemen, we 10 Point Podcast fans like to believe we've seen and heard it all. What you're going to see and hear right now will shock you beyond belief. This is a recording we have that indicates that there is a dinosaur loose on the 10 Point Podcast, running for our lives with me this week. First, we call him the worm guy. It's Chris.
Thanks.
Fine. And secondly, a mythological sea dragon that fills our hearts with fear. It's Andy.
I'll take that one.
It's Godzilla, you moron.
Godzilla. We are the 10 Point Podcast. We review films on a weekly basis, kind of like a film club sort of dealio is what we do. And you can find us everywhere on the internet. We're all over that damned internet. Type in 10 Point Podcast anywhere. You'll find some source to watch or listen to us. I say watch because you can watch us on YouTube and you can watch on Spotify, where we have video podcasts over on Spotify, as well as the audio ones. You don't have to look at our ugly mugs on the screen while you do it. 10pointpodcast.com.
You can watch me falling over from 2 weeks ago.
Yes, Chris's spill that he took.
Was that when you were in a little stool or something, weren't you?
Yeah. Fucking stacked it.
10pointpodcast.com is our website. Everything's kind of neatly there. You can contact us via that as well. There's a contact and donate point on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, 10 Point Podcast. Get in touch as well. Getting towards the end of season 8. We have been doing this for 8 seasons now.
I know. And we still only got like 50 quid in sponsors. What's that about?
I know. And the train is still rolling. It has not ground to a halt yet. We still have... There's a few movies we've not done yet that we could maybe...
that much of a great hair on my beard now.
Yeah.
I've definitely gone. I'd hate to go back and look at episode
We still
1
have a
and see how
loyal
great-
fan base. Like, they're still loyal and they still get new people from all around the world. The problem is I can never track the meta because it keeps changing all the time.
We're all over the world.
In all fairness, I don't put any effort into the website. I may have forgot Facebook existed for this season. So next season we'll be back on it.
I'm done with Facebook at this point. I am sick of telling my phone every day, mute Facebook for today, and it's still sending me 3 notifications a day.
Yeah.
So I actually don't even use Facebook anymore. I'm sick of it. Anyway, before we get on to the reason for the podcast this week, what was everybody's highlight of the past week? Now, I know Andy and I both were at the cinema, and we saw the same film at different times and different days and different places. So, Andy, what did you see this week?
Marvels.
Me too.
I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It semi-moves the franchise forward to a degree with the help of Loki, and that post-credit scene, oh my god.
When you said, go watch the Marvel, I got a message from Andy, probably the minute, the hour after he watched it. Go watch the Marvels. I already am. Okay. And I knew, I'm going to have to wait till the end of this film to see why Andy was excited. I just knew. Like...
You knew it wasn't true. I mean, like it was a great end scene. Amazing. It sets up some amazing shit. I really enjoyed, I genuinely, I was watching that film going, oh, this is all right. Like, this is pretty good. Like, the TV shows are all come together because obviously you work out how she's got her power. And then you work out how, like, Miss Marvel's got hers and she's brilliant in it. And then there's this one, and you'll know what I'm talking about in a minute, Bruce. There's just this one scene that is just like, why the fuck is it in there?
Oh, I know immediately what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, that escalated quickly. It's like, there was no need
Was it on a foreign planet?
Yes, it was.
It was an alien planet.
Yeah,
yes,
it was like, you didn't need any of what happened. I'm not going to say it to Chris. It does not need to happen. I quite like her twist when she's been all coy about it and she puts on her little disguise. But what follows for the next 5 minutes is unnecessary.
Yeah.
And really
no, it's my belief. You might know better than me, Andy, because I'm not like up with popular culture these days. Was the main person they met on said alien planet very famous for doing what he does in the film? Because I think
must be. I presume so.
I believe that person is a skill that they have.
Yes.
That they made a lot of money from, and this is stunt casting that I am not aware of because I don't know the person. So I think
Kim
that's
Kardashian
why
doing what she does best.
She's not in it, no. But also, Brie Larson has the same skill as she has shown in the past. So I think we'll use this to the best of our thing. And it does feel shoehorned in there. You're right.
I don't know. It looks like I was enjoying it. I didn't mind fake Ronan. Like, she was all right. I mean, Disney definitely put a chick in it and made her gay. Like, I'm just saying. Like, Disney were all over that our South Park one, the episode we were talking about last week.
Oh yeah, like the Pandaverse.
The
Yeah.
Pandaverse, yeah, they've
Well,
definitely done that. But like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
So
Chris
it's
Evans.
an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah,
It's an hour and 45 minutes long. Most Marvel films these days are 210, 215. And I also enjoyed watching this film. And I think I enjoy watching this film because they took half an hour worth of stuff that wasn't good or didn't work and took it out of the film.
Mhm.
And then didn't replace it with anything. So the film feels, it's kind of hollow, the film. Like, I don't actually want to sit and think about the plot of the film itself because
it's pretty
I think there's
horrendous.
nothing there.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just empty, vacant space because they took all of that out because it's just boring. This
It
is not
absolutely
fun. This is not
fucked
good.
off Secret Invasion. Like they
Yeah.
filled everything. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you're about to get onto what Loki's done now.
Oh, yes, exactly. But they have, with the Marvels, they've left everything that's kind of good, fun, enjoyable in. So everything that's there is good. And I enjoyed it. I had a bit of fun, had a bit of a laugh and all that. Like, there's a lot of humor in it, as there always is. It's very light-hearted throughout the whole thing. But yeah, there's like that's what carries the film forward, is that it's a lot of fun and all that. And yeah, the Kamala Khan's kind of family, it brings all that. But you're right. It is Samuel L. Jackson plays a different character to the last time I saw him in something. Like, it's really, Nick Fury is a different guy now. Really strange. I had one more thing to say. Yeah, the villain. Apparently, the villain is like the least significant villain there ever has been in the comics.
Say so.
So they didn't. She was never going to do too much damage to this film. I don't think she was there to be like a kind of a straw man enemy for them to knock down quite easily. Spoiler alert: the baddie doesn't win in this particular movie. But yes, Loki. Oh, the end thing at the end of the credits, Chris, is the one thing that you probably get spoiled on, but we won't spoil you on it. But it's the one reason to watch the film.
Yes.
Necessarily is what you can kind of half see coming when you get to the last 20 minutes of the film, that something's going to happen. Crossover, which takes us over onto Loki season 2 finale, which was my main highlight of the week, because I was saying I was dangerously getting close to getting back into Marvel again, and the last 2 or 3 episodes of Loki really got me back into Marvel again. And that Loki finale, I think, it might be one of the best episodes of Marvel TV they've made. It's not high praise, but I think it's one of the best things they've made.
Yeah.
Thoughts, gentlemen, on the Loki finale?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm sad. I'm sad that apparently Hiddleston is done now. That is him. Like, that's his
I'd say
so-and-so.
no way he is done. I say we get one more scene minimum,
Yes.
maybe 5 maximum. But
Yeah.
I want to see him and Thor again. I want to see this new Loki, and
they'll definitely do it. Well, I mean, we've done breaking news on this where Chris Evans he's basically was that thingy. Robbie Downey Jr. signed on, and I don't know if you guys have heard the recent rumors where Jonathan Majors is done. Apparently, they have.
Oh, really? Is he? Okay.
They have announced that, like, they have changed direction. Loki did kill it.
They're going with a complete new bad guy apparently now.
Well, and then obviously there's the other sad news of Mandalorian, where Pedro Pascal is not going to be in the Mandalorian anymore.
Oh,
However,
really? I didn't realize he was cancelling that.
Well, he's not cancelling. He's like, he was never in the suit anyway. I think he might still do the voice.
Right. Okay.
So much now, I don't like it anymore.
But yeah, there's a reason for his schedule change. I don't know if you guys have heard.
Yes, I did.
Oh yeah,
He's Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess. But,
yeah, I'm all for this, but you can tell they're struggling. I mean, they have to get all the old guys back and make, like, the problem is they can't really move it much forward because you've got all these timelines in Marvel, everybody's all got their theories. The biggest problem they have with it is it was like when they were trying to do Civil War without Spider-Man. You needed Spider-Man, so they went and paid all that money to get Spider-Man. The biggest problem they have with the multiverse, and they've been doing it for so long, is there's one person you need, and it's Reed Richards. Reed Richards is the one that stems everything. And you need him, you need Doctor Doom, because technically Kang is Doctor Doom's son.
There's some sort of relation. No, I thought he was related to Reed Richards or something. Is it not?
Reed Richards,
like the Fantastic Four tie in essentially to this whole multiverse thing, and they don't. Well, they do now own the Fantastic Four, but they've never established
it. It took them so long to get there. It's just like, fuck's sake.
And speaking of the Fantastic Four, that's why they need Chris Evans back. So Chris Evans doesn't just play Steve Rogers at some point. I need to have him play somebody else, wink, wink, in a multiverse saga. Just for fun. Just for funsies. Anyway, yes, Marvel, I'm back on. I'm so excited that there's one film next year, which is going to be good.
It's going to be the best film of the year.
It's going to be good. And What If is back out of nowhere. I had no idea What If is coming back over Christmas.
Christmassy as well.
Yeah, which is going to be good.
Christmas specials.
Hopefully. I was very up and down on the last What If, but by the end, I very much enjoyed it. So hopefully the Marvel bits and pieces fit around this one film nicely. Because, of course, I think they're apparently 3 years in the future in the sacred timeline of Marvel.
Yes.
Like, where these films are taking place is like 2026 at the moment. So they kind of need a year to kind of maybe catch up just a little bit. Like, we're getting way too in the future here. Anyway, enough Marvel talk. Chris, what was your highlight of the week?
Yeah, a completely different direction. I watched Band of Brothers
Oh,
Right,
over
okay.
3 days. Absolute banging series.
aye.
I mean, it's been out since what 2001, 2002.
The one I
The
bought on Blu-ray, it was test my Blu-ray player. I bought that bad boy.
It was one of the first ever prestige television series. It was Band of Brothers, Sopranos, maybe one or two others. Back when TV wasn't just like crappy shows anymore; it was proper film. Like,
I mean, I was absolutely hooked in it, and then I forgot about the episode with the camp. That nearly broke me. That was brutal. That episode. Forgot all about it. But absolutely banging TV series. So if people haven't watched it, go and watch it. Nah, high praise.
there you go.
That was
High
it.
praise, highest possible praise for Band of Brothers. Right, okay then. We have a lot to get through, so I think we better get cracking with. Bless you, Andy. With the point for the podcast this week.
Yeah.
Point number one. What is the point? The 1998 action sci-fi thriller Godzilla, based on the character Godzilla, created back in the 1950s by Toho Productions over in Japan when they made the first film called Gojira, or at least that's how you translate it into English, would be Gojira. Written by this particular one, the 1998 version of Godzilla, written by, and things get complicated immediately. Credit only, is what the internet says, to the story of this film, to Ted Elliott and to Terry Rossio. Now, they only get credit only for the story, whatever that means. So I think I know what it means when we get to it. So Ted Elliott, famous for writing such things as Aladdin, the Disney one, obviously, then Godzilla. After that, The Mask of Zorro, Small Soldiers, Shrek, Pirates of the Caribbean 1 through 4, and The Lone Ranger. So a good mixture of kind of...
Disney
Yeah,
food.
had to end in a badging, didn't he?
Yeah, well, they always do, don't they? It runs out eventually. And his co-writer friend, Terry Rossio, all of the above things I just mentioned, plus Deja Vu, the Denzel Washington sort of kind of thriller, which is pretty good. The fifth Pirates of the Caribbean, he must have ditched Ted to do that on his own. And then Godzilla versus Kong, he was a writer of as well.
Ooh.
Yeah, came back to the whole Godzilla verse. Story and screenplay written by Dean Devlin. Does that name ring a bell?
No.
Dean Devlin.
Yeah, everyone does for some reason.
He is the godfather of something that's very close to Andy's heart. His writing credits: Universal Soldier, Stargate, the movie.
Yeah.
He wrote that, and then anything Stargate beyond that
Yes.
has his he gets credits on.
Yeah.
Independence Day as well. Godzilla 98, and then Independence Day a Resurgence. But I think his money is basically all on Stargate, Dean Devlin. And then story by, screenplay by, and directed by Roland Emmerich. Famous for directing Universal Soldier, writing and directing Stargate, Independence Day, Godzilla 98, The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, directed White House Down, writing and directing Independence Day Resurgence, directing Midway, and then writing and directing Moonfall. This is your go-to man for a apocalypse-level disaster movie, basically, is Roland Emmerich. Now, I said story was credit only to Elliott and Rossio early, so I found this bit of information on the internet. That basically, Roland Emmerich admitted that he did not like the original Godzilla, i.e. from the 50s and all that, and only agreed to work on the project after being promised to be able to do whatever he wanted with the Godzilla series of movies. This was in contrast to the film's original director, Jean de Bont, who was supposed to direct this 98 version of Godzilla originally. He grew up a massive fan of the character. Looking back on the film, TriStar, producer who made the film, Robert N. Freed, described how the team that took over Godzilla was one of the worst cases of executive incompetence I have observed in my 20-year career. One of the golden assets of our time was managed as poorly and ineptly as anyone can manage an asset. Roland Emmerich himself has since expressed a regret in taking the job of Godzilla in 1990. So that's what happened.
I think it's too hard on himself.
Maybe. Elliot and Rossio wrote a script, and then Emmerich says, no, I will do it if I can do whatever I want, and just change the entire thing. So that's who was behind the camera and the film. In front of the camera, starring as Dr. Nico Tatopoulos, I keep getting his name the entire way around. Tatopoulos, I think his name really is. Matthew Broderick, famous for War Games, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Cable Guy. Check out that episode if you want to go deep dive on Broderick, because I'm not going to do it here. And the producers, Matthew Broderick. Anything I've missed? It's Matthew Broderick. To me, it's Ferris Bueller, really.
Did you say Simba?
I didn't say Simba. I say, oh, of course, he's Simba. Yes, he's Simba, and then maybe he's Inspector Gadget. But that's just my age and when that film came out.
So he is.
The TV show still, that's my proper Inspector Gadget, but I remember him being in it. But we won't go too deep into him. Check out Cable Guy for that. Co-starring as Philippe Rocher, Jean Reno, or as we call him on the podcast, Rene Russo, because Andy thinks that's what his name is.
Rene Russo.
Rene Russo. Famous for The Big Blue, Leon. Check out that episode for us to deep dive on Rene Russo. Ronin, and 2006's Pink Panther movie. That's Jean Reno. What have I missed there from Jean Reno?
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible for me as well. Yeah, big Mission Impossible guys. Is it just the first one? Yeah, just the first one for him. Our third star, someone we've not done before, as Audrey Timmons, Maria Pitillo, famous for. Now, these are literally the 4 things she's famous for: Chaplin, True Romance, Natural Born Killers, and then Godzilla in 1998. The problem is she's not in like the first 10 credits for Chaplin, True Romance, or Natural Born Killers. So really she's famous for this one Godzilla film, is what she's famous for, being in this, which I don't know why. Like, I thought she was okay, and she's got a movie star look about her. I was like, what happened to your career, Audrey? Were you sunk with this Godzilla slander that came after this film came out? Seems to be my assumption. But yes, Maria Pitillo as Audrey. And the final one, our 4th star, they were set aside as 4 on the credits at the end, as Victor Animal Palotti, Hank Azaria. Famous for, which is an understatement, The Simpsons, playing basically half the cast that isn't the main family on The Simpsons. Other things: Quiz Show, Heat, The Birdcage, Grosse Point Blank, before making Godzilla. Mystery Men is a big one for Hank Azaria to me. He has a not very frequent but important role in Friends, as Phoebe's one true love that she doesn't end up marrying for some reason. Then Along Came Polly, the Smurfs movies, he is Gargamel in the Smurfs movies, and in TV shows Free Agents and Ray Donovan for Hank Azaria. But basically he's Mo, he's Apu,
He was Apu.
Not anymore.
Oh, yeah, of course, but he's famous for being and all that. A whole bunch of Simpsons characters is who Hank Azaria is. They are our main 4 stars, out with of the main antagonist of the movie, I guess, would be the other star. On a budget of, in 1998, $130 million for Godzilla. US opening weekend, $44 million. Final US gross, $136 million. Final worldwide, $379 million. More money than any US remake of a foreign film until the superior Godzilla in 2016 came out and made even more money of it. Released 20th of May 1998 in the US, 17th of July 98 in the UK. Awkwardly straddles 98-99 for awards for Godzilla. Oscars shunned it completely. No mentions whatsoever at the Oscars. However, 1999 Razzies, 5 nominations for Godzilla at the Razzies. Worst screenplay, it didn't win. It lost to an Alan Smithy film, Burn, Hollywood Burn. A film that stars Ryan O'Neal. I don't know if you know him, but he's kind of like a sort of older actor. Kind of maybe goes back 80s, maybe 70s was the main star. And his co-stars in this Alan Smithy film, Burn, Hollywood Burn, Coolio, Chuck D from Public Enemy, and Eric Idle.
That's a random combo.
What an intriguing film this is. We'll come back to it in just a moment. Godzilla, nominated for Worst Director, Roland Emmerich, lost to Gus Van Sant for Psycho, another remake that came out in 1998. The Vince Vaughn. Yeah. Vince Vaughn, basically shot-for-shot remake of Psycho, but in colour. Nominated for Worst Supporting Actress, Maria Pitillo as Audrey. She was the winner. She won the Razzie for Worst Supporting Actress in this film. Nominated for Worst Remake or Sequel, it was the winner, but tied with both Psycho and the Avengers. Not that Avengers, the other Avengers. The reason that Avengers is called Avengers Assemble in the UK is because of this film that came out in 1998, starring Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman. And finally, Godzilla nominated for Worst Picture, lost again to the Alan Smithy film Burn Hollywood Burn, which won 5 Razzies that year, that film did. And I've never heard of it prior to looking at the Razzies in 1998, so probably pretty bad. 1998 MTV Movie Awards, 0 nominations for Godzilla, but the 1998 Video Music Awards presented by MTV, 1 nomination, Best Music Video from a Film, Diddy, Come With Me, lost to Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing from Armageddon. The 1999 Saturn Awards, 3 nominations for Godzilla. Best Director, Roland Emmerich, lost to Michael Bay for Armageddon. What a battle that is. Nominated Best Fantasy Film, I guess, lost to The Truman Show. It's like, how the hell's The Truman Show and Godzilla in the same category?
That's not a fantasy film.
Yes. And nominated Best Special Effects. The winner, Godzilla, was, beating such things as with poor special effects like Armageddon, Lost in Space, Mighty Joe Young, and Saving Private Ryan, speaking of Band of Brothers, plus other nominees. They were all deemed to have worse special effects than Godzilla in 1998.
Agreed.
Carry on.
No comment from Chris. Other award wins for Godzilla. It won for its music, it won for its director, it won Worst Screenplay and Worst Song, Come With Me by Diddy, at another, I think it was the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards as well. So.
I don't know why I didn't use Jamiroquai. It was fine.
Synopsis of Godzilla 98 brought to us by Thesaurus Nick.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, Jesus.
In the wake of extensive nuclear testing in the South Pacific Ocean, the low-profile scientist, Nico Tatopoulos, is summoned by the US Army to shed light on the mysterious attack on a fishing ship and the ominous sightings of a gargantuan sea dragon. Before long, a mutated scaly nightmare in the shape of Godzilla, debatable, and massive and all-powerful radioactive sauroid. Sauroid? Is that a word?
Jesus.
Yes,
he's going to like this, but...
Radioactive sauroid. Like is highlighted as a spelling mistake on my notes here. That's all. Sauroid threatens to level the rain-soaked New York City against the backdrop of a crippling bureaucracy and the military's futile attempts to stop the invincible beast from the ocean. Now it's up to Nico, the cryptic insurance agent Philippe, the determined reporter Audrey, and her brave cameraman Victor to put an end to Godzilla's reign of terror before it's too late. Is there a reason why Godzilla has chosen Manhattan for its den? He said the thing a lot, because obviously Godzilla is the thing. Who picked?
We need to Thesaurus Nick on the podcast.
We do.
Live
Special guest. The pick of destiny, we decided, since Monarch Legacy of Monsters is coming out, that's going to feature on the universe around about Godzilla and Kong, that we should do a different Godzilla movie altogether that does not play into it. Possibly, it might do. There might be little references to it. I don't know.
Multiverse.
Yes, the Godzilla multiverse.
You
yeah.
know what's in that? Hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth. Yeah, Hollow Earth theory. Have we seen Godzilla before? I have seen it at the cinema, and I think probably twice since. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, pretty sure this is one of the first videos or VHSs that my sister bought me.
Right, okay.
I remember watching this loads when I was a kid.
Okay, what about you, Andy?
This was definitely one of my first, well, not my first cinema trips, because Batman and Robin was in
really?
1995, I think it was. But I didn't
later than that.
Whatever. The one with Mr.
Batman,
Freeze, Batman and Robin.
Batman Forever was 95, I think, the Jim Carrey one. So probably,
Yeah, so
right about the same time.
Yeah, so basically that's when I started going to the cinema in the old Dumfries cinema that shut down. Live long and prosper. But yeah, I just remember this was everywhere. Like my age, it was crisp packets, drinks, toys. It was everywhere. This film.
So now we do the trope that needs to die is one of our things that we do. The Razzies of 98 or 99, whatever one was just read out, they had like an award for like, I don't know, the Hollywood thing that's like the worst of the year and a whole bunch of different nominations. Like I think the winner was an actor in their 50s, like bedding someone in their 20s in a film, basically. They'd had enough of that. And one of the gimmicks,
Sean Connery and what's her face?
quite possibly,
Catherine
yeah.
Zeta-Jones, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't Entrapment one? She's like a ninja or something like that.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. I think that's Entrapment.
Is it?
But one of the nominees that year was like the full-scale advertising media sellout of major motion pictures. Like Andy says, Godzilla was everywhere, Armageddon was everywhere, Batman was everywhere. Everything that's coming out around that time, and Godzilla was. It was a lot of hype for this film.
I remember seeing that kind of green and like oval everywhere with like the eye.
Yeah, green
like
and black.
Lord of the Sauron thing.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe that's what Sauroid means. Like it's like Sauron from Lord of the Rings. So we've all seen it before, at least a couple of times, I'd imagine. Which channel would we find it on?
Every channel.
This screams BBC.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say Sky. I was going to say Sky One.
Oh, Sky One, BBC. I reckon this is. Yeah, this is.
Sky would have got it early, and they were like, then BBC got it on terrestrial.
I bet. I mean, 99, 2000, or whenever they kept the TV back in those days, I bet it was on Sky One, definitely. Which version did we watch? We all watched the same one. There is only one version of this film. I couldn't find any details on any extended, deleted anything. This must just be as it comes, which is 2.25 hours. It's long. When I saw what the running time was, I was like, bloody hell.
I don't remember it being that long.
It's got three films, and it's got 3 films within itself.
Basically, the first hour is a film, and it's like, oh, here we go. We have to go with the whole nesting bit now. Like, literally, the first film is a Godzilla movie squashed down to an hour. Point 2 on the podcast, high points. What was the best bits and things were about the film? Can I just start off and say, I did not come into watching this film hating this film. Now, I have got Godzilla in my blood. But that's what you think. You think I hate this film. I didn't really have any strong opinion on this film.
No.
I just think the other one is better. I don't know why I'm pointing at the one behind me because that's not even the one I'm talking about. But I did not come into this thinking, this is a pile of shite. Why are we doing this? I remember I was buzzing when I was a 13-year-old going to see this. So.
I think this is the original Green Lantern. It's cool to hate this film.
Right, you could be right, yeah. But I don't have much in the way of high points. That's where I was going with this. I wanted to say out early, I did not think this is terrible. I'm miserable. Why am I having to sit through this 2 hours here? That's not how that is not even what I'm saying I did. I'm just saying I did not come into this thinking like that, but I don't have a lot of high points. So whoever wants to freely go ahead with your high points, lead off, and I'll chime in when I've got some.
I'll say a couple of wee ones. I like watching a satisfying nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
I love the start. It's just like, it's explaining it. Look at this little lizard. He's getting big. Yeah, it's just like
I'm assuming the egg.
Yes,
it's supposed to be Godzilla.
I don't think it's the one watching it. It's the eggs that have been contaminated, and then somehow makes a massive giant Godzilla,
gigantic iguana. Yeah.
Yes.
The Godzilla's a bit like Spider-Man now, where we all know who Godzilla is, so you don't really have to do the whole backstory. You just have to say, this one's Godzilla, and then here's the film. Like nowadays, this one's Spider-Man. You know he's Peter Parker. You know he got bitten by a spider. You know the Green Goblin hates it. Like it's established. And the Godzilla's kind of the same. Nuclear explosion, giant monster. Right, that all adds up. Okay, here's the film. And that's kind of what this film does. This is like, you know who he is, basically, how it goes.
I will say, like, my actual high point is the fishing trawlers getting like pulled under, kind of like Jaws, where he pulls like the 3 barrels down, and then you see them pop back up again.
Mine's is the whole mine's is actually the whole build up to like Godzilla. It's like they spunk their load quite early on. It's like, right, he's huge. Like this, it's like normally a film like this you wouldn't see Godzilla, and that's what they did on the new ones. You don't see him for like an hour and 20 in. Whereas like straight away it's like, all right, massive footprint. They know what he is, like, and then he's ripped this thing on the side of the boat. That Japanese guy's seen him, he's ripping down boats, and then you get like the little guy in the dock is pretty much where I'm at. But that whole thing, this is a good build.
It gets me every time.
The wee fisherman going to catch her. How far out did he have his line though? I was like, how the hell is Godzilla even grabbing that? Or was it a fish trying to escape Godzilla and got it? Because it seemed like it was just
an angry fish is like, I can't get away.
I'm getting away from this gigantic lizard that's coming towards me.
But that scene, like that scene is just like, that's what I remember. Like, you always talk about that one thing. It's pretty much that scene. Is the guy running up the boardwalk, and the boardwalk just bam, 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 bam. And then suddenly it's just like, here you go,
the
Godzilla.
3 fishing trawlers getting caught unlocked something for me. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, I remember the scene so much. Was the 3 fishing boats, which that's somewhere in my brain that I didn't know was still sitting there. I remember that scene so vividly.
It's yeah, I like that wee guy. I hope he didn't get killed because I like that old man.
Yeah.
I didn't count him in
it's-
deaths because there was no confirmed death of him, so he's not in my
Yes.
count of deaths. So
I mind I remember that first one when he steps up and goes across the freeway and the boats start dropping,
Yeah.
and you just see his footprint go boom, like literally right after that.
yeah,
It always blew my mind, that bit.
Well, it's like straight away they're like into it. Versus but yeah, like this bit when he's in New York now, Godzilla's cruising around, you get Hank Azaria, and comes the best use of the word retard I've ever heard in my life. Because
accurate.
it is amazing. This is like, right, he's got his camera, he's gonna chase a big fucking lizard, and he just turns around and goes, "What are you doing, you retard?" It's like, yep, that is the correct use of the word retard right there.
I mean, it's in the heat of the moment. Like she's talking from the heart there, and it's like I can't think of a better way to describe what you're doing right now than have you had a hit on the head and something's happened to you. Like,
yeah, 100%. It's like this guy, and all the way out through the film, like Hank Azaria is like he's in it just enough. As like some like the problem is there's no real comic relief, but he is there, and he works well with Ray Russo as well.
Ray Russo. I do have to chime in with my high points now. Sorry to cut you off there, Chris. But the reason I've changed my background is because one, the incredible scene where the as I've got on my notes here, the dinosaur is walking past the window, and we get Barney the dinosaur on the television as this gigantic T-Rex looking thing goes by the window. But around as the first shot you kind of get looking out of a building as basically Harry Shearer is talking away, which is why I've changed my background, because Harry Shearer plays Kent Brockman in this film.
Brilliant.
And I love it. Like his voice sounds just a wee bit like Kent Brockman's not his actual voice. Obviously, he puts a voice on, but it's just every so often he just veers into being very Brockman-esque in the way he's talking, and I very much enjoyed throughout Harry Shearer being this Kent Brockman kind of character. But yeah, Barney the dinosaur appearing on like a little, I don't know, 15-inch telly in the news office as the Godzilla dinosaur walks through in the background. That gave me a big laugh, a big belly laugh. And that was the first time I felt inspired to write down on my high points, was when Barney was there and there was Godzilla going by the window. And then, yes, shout out Harry Shearer for basically being an even more of an arsehole Kent Brockman, which I very much enjoyed. So carry on, Chris, I cut you off.
Yeah, I was just like, Andy was talking about like that one scene that he was talking about with the guy. He was like, that's his one thing. It's animal. Standing in the road is that
footprint.
Godzilla's footprint goes right.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I still remember watching this at the cinema, going, like, I knew, like, at the time, I was like, oh, that's the guy from like Simpsons, and it's like, I like this. Like, as soon as he's on, like, his charisma is like, I like this guy. He's like, oh, he's dead. Like,
and he's just the right amount of everything to be. He might be the one they just kill off immediately. Like, he's kind of the funny guy. He's not especially famous, not especially important. They could just kill him off straight away for a bit of like raise the stakes. But you're right. It's like, oh, he's not.
It's great. It's just bang, and then moves. He's like, oh, he's alive in between the toes.
Yes, good.
There's not a lot of high points between that, and the next point for me though. Mine's just that bit behind Andrew, the first fish trap.
The fish trap.
I've got a lot
building
of bits
the
in
pile
between.
of fish.
Like it's the French. I love.
Yep, that's me as well. Yeah, the French operation is a high point for me
like,
throughout.
Because I like it starts like, oh, it's that guy from Leon. Like that's like I remembered him when I first watched this. Like, oh, it's the guy from Leon. It's like, but he's not in it. And it's like, oh wait, he's back, but he's playing a different guy.
Yeah,
he's back again. It's like, oh, I see what's going on. Like being a younger person, you don't really work it out straight away. It's like,
Well, this is the first time I've really realized that they're like the French, like Secret Service, basically. I hadn't realized that. I thought it was just like they're the guys that made a complete arse of things, and they're trying to kind of look after, like, oh, we did this. It's our corporation caused this monster, and we lost track of it. But now it was like, oh, actually, they just represent the French Secret Service,
they're
and
French, so they're France.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
like,
but the one thing
they do is brilliant.
Yeah, I really do all their scenes.
Foods.
It really annoyed me though that he would randomly speak in English every so often. And it's like you can tell we'll speak in French and we won't use subtitles, but for lines that even like the stupidest people would understand, like le café, like that sort of stuff. Oh, people know that means coffee. But anything that was anything else, Rene Russo would just start speaking in English. And I'm like, why are you speaking in a room full of Frenchmen in English? I was like, just stick to one or the other. I don't mind. But yeah, I did enjoy it.
Subtitle issue when watching this because I had the DVD and I remember there being subtitles and they were talking. There was no subtitles. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, what's happening?
Every time.
But I was always like, say it's just for stupid stuff like I would understand like la bacon and la croissant. I was like, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah, exactly. I say for the guys, I first had it with the Japanese crew at the beginning. They're all talking to each other, and I'm like, am I supposed to be knowing what they're panicking about here? Obviously, I know what it is, or is it supposed to be a whole mystery thing? I'll leave it as is. I know what's going on. So yeah, I didn't worry about subtitle problems again. Another high point. Someone was getting onto the fish trap.
That was my next one. It's the fish trap. It's like a first proper look at him. You've always just seen like a footprint or a wee glimpse of Godzilla, but this is the first proper visual of him that you see.
And this is about what 30 minutes into the film, 35 minutes. It is very early for this kind of. Usually, in a monster movie, you see bits and pieces until like the end, really.
Right. I know it's 100. Oh, Chris, go on.
I was going to say, like watching it now, like they're a bit inconsistent with his size. Like 1 minute he's an absolute giant, and then the next minute he's as small as a fucking dog. So
I think I've got 4 low points are all on that subject. So we will definitely come back to that.
Well, I know it's going to be it's probably going to be both your low points. However, any scene that involves Godzilla and a million Black Hawk helicopters, I'm game for. Like they blow up shit, they don't give a fuck. Like there's a lot of stupidness, but I love an army of like 25 Black Hawk helicopters chasing Godzilla. It worked.
They loved it as well because they did it twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that like there's something about the scene. Something I don't know. Say you're a New Yorker and you know how big New York is and how big the streets are. To see it looking because it's really cramped as he's running around the bends and running around the blocks and all that sort of stuff. So it's probably a good scene if you know what the scale of New York City looks like, I guess. But to me, it made it look really small. And it was like it was a strange scene, but at least it was exciting enough, I guess.
I can also tell that they were just like cardboard boxes, like just painted. It just looked really square. There's no like life to it when he was running around.
It felt like Andy said, it looked like a video game. Like it looked like it was a game, like a arcade game. Chase Godzilla through the streets of New York and see if you can shoot him up before your coin runs out, or whatever you want to call it. Any other high points? I've got 2 more. One is very small, and one's at the very end. So
I'm in Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. Well, I don't know if we're there yet, but it's a very, very small high point. But Jean Reno as Elvis, I like that.
I wonder if that was actually him doing that. Though.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. That was definitely him.
I love that bit when they're like, they're all chewing gum, so it makes it look more American. You turn around, it's like, yeah, it really does.
Yeah, cuts back. It's like, yeah, it does. Yeah, funny. But yeah, him like, I'm not talking to you, soldier. Do you not speak for yourself? And then he starts going, like, he starts doing his impression. Yeah. It's really, really funny. Well, thank you very much. I think that's the way, but yeah, him hitting out, you thinking, oh, they've been rumbled here, and it was like a hilarious Elvis impression. That's good. So I only have one more high point, and it's at the very end. So feel free to get all the rest in.
Square Garden. I know it's probably Bruce's ultimate low point. I love baby Godzillas. Little Godzukis running around.
I like the idea of that, but
I mean, it feels, don't get me wrong, it feels like a completely different film as soon as they hit Madison Square Garden. And then the comedy comes on thick and fast, like the elevator, and then the dinosaurs running around with the popcorn and like rolling on the balls. And it feels like a 100% different film. But I loved it. Like, those little dinosaurs, the CGI on them, the practical effects mixing back and forth just was amazing.
It feels like a different film as well, because I couldn't remember, because they blew up and killed Godzilla at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's maybe it. That's weird. They've just killed off Godzilla. And I'm like, oh, well. And then, like, the next 20 minutes is all baby Godzilla's running around. And I'm like, it does feel like the second, it feels like the sequel within the first film. It's quite strange.
But I was wondering, because they're underground when they get to Madison Square Garden, yet the Black Hawks blow it up and you see it like as if it's still standing on the ground.
It's because they were
It
all
drops
climbing
down.
up. Aye.
These sort of American arenas like that, usually ground level is like the back row. With these sort of things, they build the buildings down the way. Like it's quite weird. Like if you like, I walked into one must be the one in Toronto I went into, and it's like, oh, I'm on the third floor. Like I had the worst seats in the place, obviously. And I walk in, it's like, oh, I have to go up like one flight of stairs, and I'm there because everybody else. And when you get in, it's so deep down in the ground. So yeah, it's the basketball court itself must be like, I don't know, 4 stories down from ground level in New York.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
just confused me.
Fix that issue.
Oh shit! I dropped my
But
phone on my laptop.
my bit is my high point is the end bit where Godzilla has a vendetta.
He's very angry.
I like Godzilla because you can see a little bit of his personality when he does the fish and he looks at Theodopolopoulos. You see him, and he's just like, "Oh, you're trying to feed me," and then he does it again. He's like, "Oh, I remember you," and then this time it's just like, "Killed every single one of my young. You guys are dead." And then he doesn't give a shit about anybody else. He is
anything else. Yeah,
and I do like that focused Godzilla. Like he is out to get you, and he doesn't give a shit.
Yes, it was funny.
Like plan to kill him in the bridge.
Chris is coming through very faintly, but I think he's alerting us to the final bridge scene, which is my last high point, Chris. So thank you for alerting us to that. Yes. I've just got the death of the creature was cool, and the heartbeat is a great idea, and they executed it perfectly. I think that is absolutely brilliantly done. Is how they did the heartbeat, and it does make you feel a wee bit like a wee bit in the feels.
I think that's one of the saddest scenes in cinematic history, right there.
It could be. It could be.
It's up there. It's up there with the Titanic and everything. It's got me in the feels.
I do feel like it's a bit forced, the bond between Nick and the monster at the end, when the monster spent the last 10 minutes trying to full on eat him and murder him around New York. It's like, oh, you finally killed me. You're just the worm guy. You weren't doing anything wrong. And as my heart beats its final beat, I'm glad you're here to share it with me. It's like, no, you were straight up murdering him 2 minutes ago, if you could have done. But yes, Chris, did you have anything that you could maybe say about that last scene?
If I'm coming through, I don't know. It's not working.
You're very faint, but you're there.
What's happened to it then?
Oh, there we go. You're there now.
Am I? Oh, sweet. Yeah. I just loved the image that Godzilla nearly fucked his plan by jumping over the bridge.
Yeah.
And it always gets me in the feels that end, but
I'd completely blanked that out from my memory. As much as I remember the trawler and remember Madison Square Garden, I don't remember Godzilla dying on the bridge like that. I thought he might have died in the water, which sounded weird. But I did not remember him dying.
No, I also remember him coming back for one last scare, like a proper horror guy.
Yeah. Comes just out of nowhere, like another random, like people don't notice him wandering around that much. Anyway, any more high points? Because I am well and truly spent on my high points.
Nope, I feel like you're going to take over the low points.
I do have a few low points, so I will try and run through these.
I'm like,
the first thing I've just got.
I don't have that many.
Oh, good. Okay, well, there's some balance on the podcast. I like to get % balance. I've just got the 1990s. When sexual harassment in the workplace was used for humor in family action movies.
That's not a low point. That was just a thing of its time.
It is, but it's also funny that like Harry Shearer is straight up saying, "If you bed me, I will give you a promotion," while that random woman is flirting with Matthew Broderick. It's like you're just going from one to the other. It's like, oh my god, does no one actually think or do anything else? It's all just sexual flirtations the entire time in this thing. Anyway. I don't have any really, really early low points. If anyone's got anything early, right? Okay.
It's early and stems throughout the entire film. Every single thing that Matthew Broderick does, I hate that man. And
really?
Like,
okay,
he is
harsh.
He is the worst thing in this film. Like, he's weird. He's like creepy. He doesn't make any sense. I just don't like him.
You've accidentally walked straight into what my next low point is. And I've just got, oh my god, the scene on the plane. Facepalm, monkey covering ears emoji. Matthew Broderick is so bad in his delivery that I can't watch. It's not an anomaly. It's the clue. The dawn of a new species. The first of its kind. It's like, oh my god, what is this?
Like he is just reading off a script. He's like, oh, I have to do this. Yeah, just read that line. Okay, I will. It's just, he's not acting in this film at all.
And then the next thing I've got is Matthew Broderick handsome? 20 minutes into the film here, and two women are straight up just taken by how handsome he is. It's like the first woman immediately sees him, does a double take, and it's like, oh my God, it's Matthew Broderick, look at him. And then the ex sees him on the television. Oh, that's Nick. My God, he looks so handsome on the television. It's like, who was meant to play this role? I was like, which 90s action heartthrob was supposed to be Nick in this film? And then I look at my trivia notes. He was the first person offered the role, and he accepted it before the script was written. This was always going to be Matthew Broderick. I was like, who do they think this guy is? Like, he does not work. He's not right in the role. He's not enough of like the scientist to be the right casting. And like Andy says, he's not an action hero. You don't believe that he's going to save the day. He doesn't actually really do anything. Like the film, he's always a hanger-on to the person who's doing the thing. It's weird, the Matthew Broderick. You're right, Andy. The film might have been better if he wasn't in it.
Yep,
I think.
100% I came to.
Trump here with why is my thing not working? I think it was go.
Chris.
Chris is gone. Audrey is my worst thing.
Audrey.
Like, she is an absolute bitch this entire film.
God, I hate every character.
Pretty much. She breaks up with Matthew Broderick for proposing, despite the fact they've been together for 4 years. I think Bruce is properly gone.
He's gone. Now he's back.
Am I back then?
Yep.
I'll change my background if that works.
And then she's pissed off with Nick because he's still pissed off with her.
Yep.
Because she broke his heart.
Yep.
And then she goes and steals his fucking videotape, gets him kicked out of the military, and like leaked all his information across the world. She's the worst of the worst in this film.
I quite liked Audrey up to the point where she had a blatantly obvious heel turn that absolutely everybody else thought was fine. And I'm like, what is she doing here? But she definitely turned. Like, I thought, oh, you're quite nice. I was say the actress. I'm like, you should have more roles. You're quite good here. And then her character does this awful thing, and I'm like, why? Like, there was no setup and no fallout to her absolutely betraying Nick. It was really, really weird.
He gave her back to Craig. It was like, oh, did you get ahead? Okay, I'll accept that. Let's be a couple again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Feed you to Godzilla.
Next low point, which is we're kind of going out of sync where my notes are here. I've just got oof, the CGI when the monster takes Manhattan.
Nope,
that was the first time I saw this, and I'm like, yeesh, I don't remember it looking like this. Now apparently,
look at it, it's well good.
After that photo, that's still as you've got there, it's fine. In motion is where it goes back. Apparently, the Blu-ray versions it looks better. Now I watched mine. I watched Sky Cinema is what I watched. And apparently, something to do with the way they filmed it, allegedly on the internet said that the Blu-ray version is better than all of the printings of the film.
Yeah, looks amazing.
But when I watched it, some scenes look really, really bad, and I don't remember it.
The first one was in the tunnel when the guys are looking at this blocked up bit. It goes, there's nothing there. And they turn around and this really bad CGI comes up and looks at them and it disappears. And that was the lowest point for me.
Yes, just really bad stuff. The worst CGI bit for me is, I don't know if I got it in my notes again. Oh, I've got awful CGI raptors is what I've got. When they're going around Madison Square Garden, there's one bit where there's like a half a dozen of them walking down the concourse towards them. And it's like, there's no shadow on any of them. The light doesn't change no matter how close or far away they are. They look like South Park characters all just slowly creeping towards the camera. And again, maybe the Blu-ray version's better, but it looked really bad. I don't remember it looking that bad.
Definitely a different version because it looks
maybe.
To me.
I think it was something in the 2010s, the Blu-ray version, that it was fixed and it looked better now, apparently. But maybe that's what you watched. How is it even possible to lose it on Manhattan? Like, how should somebody somewhere must have seen it do something?
This is my underlying low point, which is he's huge, and like that's kind of what Chris said. He's huge in some scenes. The scenes with the Black Hawk helicopters, he's like as big as a skyscraper. He's eating them, and then he disappears. Then it gets even worse that you find out that how the hell did he birth all those eggs and strategically place them? Like, I was trying to work out, did he like dig a big hole under Madison Square Garden, sneak his head up and just kind of like spit them out and move them around with his tongue or something like that? Because there ain't no way he's fitting
in that one room that survived the explosion. It just doesn't make any sense. How did he just get his, I don't know, dinosaur mangina in there to like let it
push
out?
It in. Yeah.
But he must have got his little tongue out or his little arms, just pushed them up. Like that's why it was taking him. So that's why he didn't find them for hours, because he was having all these eggs going. Oh, I've got to put them on this shelf. I've got to put them on this shelf. But yeah, it's always one of them scenes. It's just like
Everything in its place.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden, like, and it is shown when they blow it up, is intact from the top. It is immaculate. So everything that Godzilla did was from underground up, and didn't
I don't
bend
think
the roof.
so. Yes, Godzilla changes shape and size all the time throughout the film. The one I've got is he comes out the ground right in front of Matthew Broderick.
Yes.
And comes out the hole like this.
Yeah.
And it cuts to Matthew Broderick being like, oh my God, there's a giant monster here. And it cuts back and Godzilla's twice the size he was when he came out the hole. Like all of a sudden but there's no way to fit all of the eggs that he birthed would not fit in to Godzilla. Like if you put together the I don't know, the square footage of the 200, 300 eggs that he laid, it wouldn't fit in him. Unless he's keeping them all like in his tail.
Maybe it's expanding.
Maybe they come out like this big. But yes, the Godzilla changing shape and size depending on what they needed for the scene is a major problem this film has. Matthew Broderick again, I'm afraid.
I've got another one with him.
That's a lot of fish. Like
huge.
That's the point. like, why was that line? I don't understand. Like, it's not funny. Like, that's a lot of fish. Yeah, like listen, Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. That's a big pile of shit, or whatever it says. That's a lot of shit. It's like that's quite funny because he swears and it's a big pile of it, and that's kind of a saying. But saying that's a lot of fish is either just ripping off Jurassic Park or someone thought it was hilarious. I don't know.
Speaking of him, in his tent, he says, "Oh, I need to go," and says, "I'll be back in a minute. Stay in my tent." In that time he's left, Audrey's managed to leave the tent, steal the tape, make a new career for herself, and ruin his life. So how long was he planning for that meeting to be?
And have Harry Shearer get the tape, take out her bits in it, and then insert director's comments. So when you cut back to me, and like all of that happens, yeah, in his meeting that he was in. You're right. Made no sense. Why didn't the pilot of the final helicopter just fly up and away from the ground animal monster thing that was chasing it around? He was like, "Oh, he's behind me! He's behind me! He's behind me!" The whole time, just flying, like just go like that.
I reckon it's the vortex is in between the skyscrapers. It's like a pocket of air where you can't go up.
Okay, right.
It is a thing in helicopters.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know how the science helicopter works.
They really annoyed me. Like their formation, like they were weaving in front of each other, shooting shots.
Yeah.
Like, how did none of them there was no friendly fire, but they were all like weaving in front of each other.
Well, because they have friendly fire turned on, off.
Friendly fire
it automatically cuts off when they weave into each other. It's like nope, fire.
So that was the first helicopter chase. I've just got later on my notes. Oh, we're just chasing after it again and blowing more shit up.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my low points. Is they basically try and replicate it, rather than put all this fish in a big crowded area, we'll put it in Central Park. And then we'll have, rather than having 5 Black Hawks, we'll have 25 Black Hawks in a nuclear submarine.
That'll definitely work. Because you'll definitely go run into the river. Yeah. That'll definitely. And they definitely won't take the bombs. Like, I'll definitely just let the bombs explode it. It'll be fine. It won't come back towards us at all. Yeah. This is where I kind of got a bit lost with one aspect of the storyline. Why did Animal and Audrey start following them at that point? Like, when we get to... But is that all it was? They're just like, we're going to go get the story.
She wanted the story, and he wanted to...
So she's full heel turn. It's not a case of, I need to go apologize to Nick. It's a case of...
It was all about the story.
Yeah, so it's a full heel turn from Audrey at that point. It was me thinking she was nice. Nick, again, let himself down. He walks up in Madison Square Garden, and he's like, 3 eggs? I thought there would be more. And the camera changes, and there's like 20, like right next to him. All I had to do was just look 5 degrees one way, and he would see 10, and then there's another 10, and then the whole like, oh, these are the only 3 eggs in the whole place. I've got blinkers on. I can't possibly look left or right. It was just so stupid. Like, it made him look such an idiot for saying, "Oh, it's only 3 eggs. I can't believe it's that many." But that's the writing of the film. Literally all around him they were when he said that. And then why are they acting surprised when the eggs hatch? He's again, she's gathering fish. The eggs are going to hatch soon. They get in. Oh, here's all the eggs. they're hatching. Like, yes, that's why you're there. This is the story starts to fall apart here, and then I get by the raptors. I've got one more low point that's quite near the end. Any other low points before we get to the very
I'm
end?
out. It's just nitpicking now.
Yeah, I don't
That's-
have many.
That's what I do. The last one is the monster lost all credibility when it couldn't catch that one taxi. At that point, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, no, but he was upset. He
He's
just
in a
lost his
fucking
entire
helicopter.
family.
Yeah, but it seems like he wasn't motivated enough to catch that one taxi.
I
Like, he
think
got
he was too-
helicopters really easy.
I think he was
Taxis.
too angry is the point. He was like, especially when the taxi double backed and he's just like, fuck, I've slipped.
I followed him. I followed him. I made him look silly as well. He just should have like, forget it. I'll go back
help
to
me.
Japan. Yeah.
My ankle, yes.
He's also far too human-like, I think. Godzilla in this. Right, I'm out of low points. And that actually was basically everything I didn't like. So, point 4 on the podcast is the stats. I have kept the same stats that I always do, and we've got extra bonus ones here and there when we get to them. Shits, 1. However, it was a nerd. It wasn't a shit. That was Rene Russo gave a nerd. No F-bombs, though. But speaking of bombs, 78 explosions there were in the film. 15 of them were the wooden pier exploding when he was going after the fisherman guy. It's just like boom, 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 like it's exploding. Like normally I don't do that was like a wall getting knocked down or that was so but this pier was exploding. I'm sorry. Yes. So 78 or really 63 if you want. Deaths. 184 is what the internet says. It says 184, but I'm arguing with that. There had to be 100 people on that freighter that died at the beginning. Because the people on that first freighter were really, there's like tens of them in corridors, and only one survivor is the guy shouting Gojira Kaiser Soze style on the bed at the end. Then at one point they say that he'd killed thousands on Manhattan, and that's why they have to take people off of it. There's 3 point whatever million. He's killed thousands and injured blah 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 more. So I don't know why that wasn't counted. What the internet said. At least 3 helicopter pilots get eaten. And then Jean-Philippe, Jean-Pierre, Jean-Luc, and Jean-Claude, they all get eaten.
That was my stat.
What was your stat? How many Jeans?
Yeah, no, they were all the French guys were called Jean.
Except from?
Roach, Philippe Roach.
Because, and that's funny because...
I don't fucking know.
He's a cockroach.
Well, his name's Jean Reno, and he's not called Jean in the film.
I thought that's why the other guys were called Jean.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That doesn't... Right, carrying on. No cows, no goats in the film. Dead animals, fish, raptors, and then that fraud that claims to be Godzilla. They all died in the film. No paedophiles. I think we're okay for them. Tom Cruise, Tackleberry, Sarah Connor trifecta. Matthew Broderick did not ride a motorcycle. Otherwise, he would have got it. I think. And then Animal, he may have done it, but he's already married. So and also he didn't get the girl in the end. If you know what I'm saying, kind of didn't work. But then we counted that for Tackleberry, I think. Did they say the thing? Did they say Godzilla?
Yes.
Well, 34 times is my guess.
Only 4 times. There are 10 Gojiras.
Yes.
9 of which are the wee Japanese guy on the telly, and one of which is Audrey. Because she complains, "It's Gojira, you idiot," when she shouts at Kent Brockman on the telly. But they only actually say Godzilla 4 times. The rest of the time it's he, it, he, it.
Ah.
Go back and count, Chris.
That blew my mind.
You go back. But only 4. Chris, any other stats from you?
No, you stole my Jean-Luc Picard one.
Jean-Luc Picard.
One that was called Jean-Luc.
He was. Andy, a fun fact from you.
So all the military bombings and shit like that at the start were all obviously meant to be the French, but all the footage is actually real life American nuclear things going on.
Oh, real American tests. That's funny.
It's all American tests. Not one of them is French. They're all American.
That's good. Because the French had the reputation back in those days, the late 90s. There's always all this French nuclear testing going on. I always remember that when I was a kid.
That is all American testing.
Funny. I've got a fun fact as well. Mayor Ebert and assistant Jean are blatantly supposed to be, both in name and appearance, Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, the legendary film reviewers from the 1980s through to the 90s, whose footsteps we are following in, unbeknownst to maybe everybody on the panel, I don't know. Now, Ebert and Gene are in the film because, in response to their negative reviews of Roland Emmerich and, I forgot the guy's name, is it Dean Devlin's earlier films, Stargate and Independence Day, Siskel and Ebert did not like them. The film also took Siskel and Ebert's trademark thumbs up, thumbs down that we accidentally use sometimes as well. They rated films by going thumbs up, thumbs down. So Mayor Ebert's campaign is a thumbs up for New York, like what Ebert and Siskel do. And then Gene gives Ebert a thumbs down when he finally decides he's had enough and quits. The real Siskel and Ebert reviewed this film on their show, and they gave it 2 thumbs down. And Gene Siskel said the filmmakers spoofing them was petty, and if you're going to go through the trouble of putting the two of us into a monster movie, why don't you at least take advantage of having the monster eat or squash either of us? So
that would make sense.
they even messed that up. Yeah. So that's why, because I was like Mayor Ebert. I only know one person called Ebert, and he looks exactly the same as the actor who plays him, whose name Michael Lerner. Michael Lerner looks quite like him actually. And that was my fun fact, following from Andy's. Andy, point 5 is a 10-point podcast quiz. Why don't you take us through that?
Here we go. So, classic to and fro quiz. So, who wants to go first?
I think I went first last. No, I'll go first.
Right.
Okay.
All right, go on you go,
All
Chris.
right, Chris is going first. So, this quiz is called God Quiz.
God quizzer.
Oh, fucked.
It's a quiz all about gods, Godzilla.
Ah, okay.
So here we go. Who is the Greek goddess of love?
Oh my god, what the fuck's she called? I can't remember her name. I'm gonna say Amor or something like that.
Not Amor, Bruce.
No.
I'm gonna have a stab at Persephone or something like that.
Nope, it was Aphrodite.
Aphrodite.
Bruce, who is the Roman god of war?
The Roman god of war is. I'm going to take a stab and say Ares.
Not Ares.
That's me fucked. That's what I thought it was.
Always, because there's the Romans and there's the Greeks.
He was so confident. He's like, fucked. You were looking for Mars.
Again, that's what I thought the other one was, but I took a stab at Ares. Damn it.
Chris, Hera was the wife and sister to which Greek god?
Zeus.
It is Zeus. He's on the board.
Chris is winning.
Right, Bruce.
His sister though.
Yeah, I know.
When gods are weird.
Yeah. Right, if you get one of these, I'll give you a point.
All right.
Which 3 deities are most prominent in the contemporary Hinduism? Give me
Is
one.
it like Ganesh or Ganesha or something like that? Ganesh?
No. Chris, can you get one?
Buddha. That's all I've got.
It's not Buddha. You could have had Brahma, aka the Brahma bull, Vishnu, and Shiva.
Shiva.
I think of.
Right.
Son of a bitch.
Where am I going? Chris. Who was the father of Heimdall? Now,
Odin?
He's instantly thinking of Thor. And you are right, it is Odin.
Odin, right? Okay, I didn't know that.
Ah, shit, son.
You put yourself into a corner here, Andy, really, haven't you?
Good luck to you, Bruce. Have you got a point for this? Right. Kazawal.
Oh, God's sake.
Quetzalcoatl
Uh-huh.
was the feathered serpent god of which people?
I'm just going to say the Egyptians.
No.
Ancient Egypt, if you'd rather.
No, Chris.
Right, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm going to say Native Americans.
Kind of close, but no, it was the Mayans.
The Mayans. Right.
Oh, good. I should have read this before I did it. Chris. Hote, also known as the Laughing Buddha, is known as one of the 7 what?
Steps to enlightenment. I don't know.
No, it's not Steps up to Enlightenment.
Can you have a stab at the name again, Andy? Sorry, it doesn't have to be perfect. With an H?
Yes, H. Hota is also known as the Laughing Buddha, so i.e. the Laughing Buddha is known to be one of the 7 what?
Holy deities. I don't know.
It was a good stab. It was one of the 7 lucky gods.
Lucky gods.
I'm
Right,
pretty sure
okay.
that's what I said.
Yeah.
How did Chris get 2 points? Oh, because Odin. That's a legal one.
Yeah. Where we're going? Is it back to Chris? No, it's Bruce.
No,
Me
Bruce.
first.
Is it Bruce first?
Me first, yeah.
Right. Who is the only deity in the Muslim faith?
Is that Muhammad?
You fucked that right up. Chris.
I was thinking.
Oh, no, I get it.
I feel like it's a trick question and it's gone right over my head. I don't know.
Is it Allah?
It's Allah. Yeah.
Ah!
no, Chris. Allah, no ah.
Ah.
Chris, for to seal your win,
To close me out completely.
who do Buddhists believe to be their deity? Who?
Ganesh?
You
I
think
don't know.
Ganesh?
Am I right thinking it's Buddha?
Buddhists don't acknowledge any supreme god or deity. So
Ah, right. So it's not, they don't
Nope.
listen to what Buddha, they don't think
Nope.
he's special. They just do what he's
nobody.
thought.
Like, nobody.
Okay.
So
Very
Chris,
good.
Chris learned his religious, moral, and philosophical studies.
Yeah. There you go. I never got a qualification in RE, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that. So there's some infotainment there for you.
There we
That
go.
was very
No, I couldn't find any Zillas, so we did the gods.
good.
I was going to do
Uh,
name reptiles, but I thought I better not.
No.
Fair enough. On to point 6 for the most epic point 6 there has ever been. Chris, We've already
There's a lot.
we've
Okay.
exchanged numbers, and Chris has got fewer than me. So, Chris, let's do the 10-point podcast universe in as much time as we can.
So, there's a guy called Guy Richardson who was an Anchorage ship repairman / New Jersey cop on the bridge. He was in the ring as a librarian.
I don't have him, so that's a brilliant start.
There we go. Run the
There we go.
ball.
So Al Leong, who was a Japanese fishing boat crewman, was in
Okay.
Last Action Hero as one of the Vivaldi gunmen, and Die Hard as Uli.
Can I
So
just
Hall of
say,
Fame eligible for
can
Al.
can I just say he is my most unexpected? Just so I remember.
Right, Al Leong. Yeah, yeah.
I remember him being a few things, and this is one of them, I'm afraid.
Die Hard was the one I remember.
Yeah,
when I saw
Die
his
Hard,
name.
this last action.
No,
hero.
it was Last Action Hero, and
He
this
is,
Right.
he,
was two
is,
things.
he was the go-to Chinese henchman back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the 80s into 90s. Yeah.
So Norman Fessler, who was a WIDF news worker in the elevator, quite
Fuck
specific.
There's so many people in this film that got on
Yep.
it.
He was in City Slickers 2 as a businessman.
Oh,
Right.
God.
The main one who should be nominated for a thingaby. Frank Welker, who does creature
Yeah.
vocals,
Mhm.
Yes,
who
it does.
has been more than once in this. There's Mortal Kombat as Shao Kahn, Tank Girl's special vocal effects, Suburban Commando as the alien General Suitor,
I miss Suburban Commando.
DuckTales as voices, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kid as more voices, Roger Rabbit as Dumbo and additional voices.
Did you say Gremlins?
Ah, fuck, how did I miss that every time?
And did you say Tremors? Did I miss Tremors? Or did you say Tremors?
Tremors.
And that one.
And Tremors. He's millions. So definitely Hall of Fame shout maybe for Frank Welker, I would say.
Okay.
I'd say he's also the voice of Nibbler in Futurama. Which is amazing.
Okay, so Al Sapienza, who was a taxi cab driver, was in Judge Dredd as specifically a young judge that removes Dredd's helmet.
Right, okay. I didn't get the helmet bit.
Lee Weaver, who was the homeless guy who was telling the thing to run, he was in Oh Brother Where Art Thou as a blind seer.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I kind of remember him. He wasn't the guy in the recording studio. He was just another blind guy.
That seems like an oxymoron, a blind seer.
Blind seer, yeah.
Mark Fight, who was a radio operator, was in Cable Guy as a medieval knight.
I guess it's one of the jousters, I would imagine, at medieval times in the Cable
Yeah.
Guy.
Greg Collins, who was a soldier on the bridge, was in Gone in 60 Seconds as a San Pedro cop.
Yep.
I thought we'd done this guy more, but Glenn Morshower, who
Me
was
too.
Kyle Turrington,
Amazing.
was only in Under Siege as Ensign
Yeah.
Taylor.
No, he's my Danny John Jules. It's like, oh my god, it's
He
him
is-
again.
he is the
But
general and
it's
everything.
it's the second. I thought, oh, it's him again. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He's always plays like a general or something like that and everything. Glenn Morshower.
Where he was in more things.
Me too.
Toshi Tada, who was a Japanese tank captain, he was in Crank as a Japanese businessman.
I nearly missed him. I forgot we did Crank.
Lloyd Kino, who was a Japanese tanker cook, was in
Here we
Cable
go.
Guy as at the infamous karaoke party guest.
I've just got at that effing karaoke party. I've got it in here.
Everybody was in that.
He was
Including
also
Matthew
Mortal
Broderick.
Kombat.
Mortal Kombat,
as a
making him Hall of
grandfather.
Fame eligible as Lloyd Kino. I don't think he's going to get in, but he was, but he was eligible.
Bodie Elfman, who was Freddy, was in Gone in 60 Seconds as Fuzzy Frizzle.
And who's Fuzzy Frizzle? These are these characters, I remember.
Richard Gant, who was Admiral Phelps, was in The Big
Spotted
Lebowski
him.
as the older cop.
I spotted him in the
recognise his
background. I was like, oh
face.
my god, that's the cop for the Big Lebowski. I saw him in the background.
I didn't know this one. Nancy Cartwright, who was the secretary, was in Roger Rabbit as the dipped shoe.
Yeah, the shoe that gets like
Yeah.
I don't know, basically killed, so we can see how the dipping thing works. Yeah.
Chris Ellis, who was General Anderson, was in Catch Me If You Can as why have I abbreviated this? Oh, Secret Agent Whitkins.
Agent, I think he worked with Tom Hanks. I think, if I remember rightly.
Robert Lesser, who was Murray.
Murray again. I don't know who that is.
He was in Die Hard as a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Jean Reno, who was Roach, was in Leon as Leon.
Mm-hmm.
And Matthew Broderick as Nick was in Cable Guy Stephen.
Right. So Chris has missed a big one, and he's missed. I think all the rest you've missed, other than the big one, are uncredited, and they're all very similar. So Al Goto was in the Japanese boat crew. He was a henchman in Blade. He was Sheriff number 2 in Haywire, and he was Stick Fighter number 3 in Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Meaning he's Hall of Fame eligible. I think he was uncredited. I think the Japanese boat crew, they must have rounded up as many Japanese actors as they could, and didn't credit them all. John Koyama, also on the crew, was Gang Fighter number 4 in Kung Pao Enter the Fist. George Cheung on the crew was Commando in Under Siege. Again, another Under Siege. Stephen Ho, also on the boat crew, was also in Blade as a Frost Goon, and then he was Chan in Mortal Kombat, which is that the brother of the main guy? Because I think we've covered him before, obviously.
You're right.
And that means he's Hall of Fame eligible as well. But the one that he's missed, Harry Shearer as Kent Brockman, or whatever his real name was in the film, he was uncredited as a radio announcer in Casper. So we have done Harry Shearer before. He was on the radio somewhere in Casper. But yes,
I think I must have skipped past him because I hadn't seen him in anything. So,
well, I think everyone you missed was uncredited. So somehow I get the uncredited list and you get the actual list. But yeah, close to 25 people we've done before were in this film, which means
spouting out people.
Exactly. It's also because it's hugely long and populated. There's millions of people in it. Have you recast the three of us into any of these many, many roles, Chris?
I did. I put myself as Animal because I'm the kind of retard who would chase after a lizard to film it. I put Andy as the mayor purely because of the rage that the mayor has. He's like, "You're doing it for sure, and you can't do this," kind of thing. Bruce, I put you as a Roach for some reason. I can see you. I don't know if you're a coffee guy or not.
I'm not a coffee guy, but tea. I like tea, but like just normal tea, none of the fancy teas. So,
and you're obsessed with Godzilla, which he seemed to be as well.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, I had Andy as Animal and used Matthew Broderick. Chris, unfortunately, I apologise for casting you as Matthew Broderick.
It's a big move, that like.
I went back because this is so blatantly homaging, parodying, ripping off films. I had to go back and do it for this one here. So Godzilla references one way or another blatantly Jurassic Park and The Lost World. This came out a year after The Lost World and basically rips off Jurassic Park. Its reason for existing is Jurassic Park.
Lost World did it 10 times better as well.
Yeah, you're probably right. The Usual Suspects, which is the bit where the guy's like, Gojira, is exactly how the guy does it in The Usual Suspects when he's like, Kaiser Soze, and then the picture and all that sort of stuff. Exactly the same scene. Singing in the Rain, because he's singing in the rain, and it also rains the entire time in this film. Jaws, when he's sneaking up through the water, very Jaws-like, and then the mayor as well is very much like the mayor in Jaws. Star Wars, the point of view chases when they're chasing after Godzilla, and then they actually say on the radio Echo 4 to Echo Base in the background of that scene, which is very Star Wars. And speaking of that sort of stuff, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, is literally referenced because the freighter at the beginning is called the Kobayashi Maru, which is a very very legendary Star Trek ism. Ferris Bueller is directly referenced. Obviously, Matthew Broderick is Ferris Bueller, but in the elevator, the music is playing in the background is a version of Dankeschön, which he lip syncs in Ferris Bueller in a famous scene from that film. And then Aliens, that actual elevator scene is the same thing that happened in Aliens, except they replaced the aliens with the raptor Godzillas, which is going up an elevator at the end of Aliens.
Oh, right.
Yeah. They were all the references that I found, spotted, agreed with, and noticed. Could this film have come out in 1995? Yes, it could, because Jurassic Park had come out 2 years earlier. So yes, it was probably, let's try and get the Godzilla rights and bring out a movie as quick as we can. Does it reference the Wizard of Oz? It does not. I could find nothing whatsoever that was Wizard of Ozzy at all in this film. Nope. Dead Man Walking. I thought Kent was the goner. Yes. I thought Harry Shearer. I thought he's exactly the kind of character that's going to get eaten out of like a toilet cubicle like in Jurassic Park. But there weren't many. No one was really the mayor again. Then he survived. There was no real you deserve to go, and they got all of the Jeans. I guess they might have been the ones to go for. Who's in the wrong movie? Personally, I think Godzilla is in the wrong movie. As in, this is not a Godzilla movie. This is an entirely different monster. My theory,
nicknamed Gino, Godzilla in name alone.
Yes, exactly. My theory is that one Japanese guy who survived the freighter knows of Godzilla and just thinks that it is Godzilla, but this is an entirely different thing. The French have blown up an iguana egg and it's churned out this human iguana T-Rex hybrid.
Combination.
Exactly. It's nothing like Godzilla. And it's just because that one Japanese guy thought, oh, it must be Godzilla because that's what he does. That's why this film is called Godzilla. It could be called T-Rex Takes Manhattan or something like that's what it could be called. So
what they should do in the TV series is have that egg grow up and then Godzilla just come along and go like that, snap his neck, and then cut on his way.
Yeah. Yeah. Stop using my name. So Godzilla's in the wrong movie, I think. Tropes. What trope would we like to see die that comes from this film? We fell out of love, but this apocalyptic event brought us back together, and now it is true love is my one. Andy, what's your trope that needs to die?
Mine is like a guy that has no actual scientific background. So he's the worm guy. Here's a big fucking gigantic lizard.
Yeah, so you're the expert on lizards. Yeah.
It's like they have a niche, a very, very niche person that's got a skill, and they try and upscale it 10,000 times. It seems to happen more and more in movies nowadays.
Speaking of being the worm guy, I'll come to you in a second, Chris. Sorry. I spent longer than I should have done trying to work out if he could actually safely do in Chernobyl what he was doing in Chernobyl in, like, say, 1998, probably 1997. Because the disaster was 12 years before that.
Yeah.
And it's like, would he be able to just go wander around, like no hazmat suit, no protection, just messing around with the dirt and the worms and all that safely, just 12 years? Because apparently it's like, I don't know, is it the, what do they call it? The duration of radioactive, it's half-life or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's like thousands of years before people can safely live in Chernobyl again. It's like, he's there a decade later just faffing around with worms. It's like,
he's not right in the middle.
Maybe not. It wasn't right next to the power plant, exactly. So I wasn't sure. I couldn't find out exactly when, like, people were allowed to go and do stuff there, but it seems like it was early. Chris, what's your trope?
Yeah, shake my hand.
All right, okay. That was a great fake sneeze. I thought you sneezed there.
Oscar worthy there. I seen him. I
hate it. Everything's like, achoo, here, shake my hand.
This film has a lot of little character bits of characters who don't need to have character bits. Like, there's no need for that guy to be the way that he is in this film, which is a bit weird throughout.
I'd be super jealous of her finding that guy attractive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here. And yeah, you're fucking snotting all over the place. She was nothing to do with you.
Yeah, I don't wonder. Point 7 on the podcast, that one thing. What is the one thing this film has that will always be the thing that it has most important for it? Chris, what's your one thing?
I've already mentioned it. Animal between the toes.
Right, okay. Hey, Andy, what's yours?
Mine's just randomly Madison Square Garden.
Right, that's a good shout, actually, yeah.
Like, every time I think of Madison Square Garden, I instantly think, Royal Rumble or Godzilla.
Or both. Mine is the soundtrack. When I think of this film, I think, oh, that's the film with that's Deeper Underground, and even I don't mind the Puff Daddy, the Come With Me
I
song.
like that one as well, actually.
And then the version of Heroes is a bit rubbish, but it's all right. But yeah, the soundtrack's pretty good. And I remember I had Deeper Underground on single cassette when I was a kid. I remember that. Point 8 on the podcast are nominations for the 10-Point Podcast Awards. Chris, you go first, and we argue with you or agree with you.
Oh, very, very going down a list here.
I don't have
I put-
hundreds, I'll tell you that
Well,
much.
before Chris starts, I'm going to add a
Mhm.
brand new
Oh.
nomination that I'm going to carry on forward.
Right.
Right. And it's kind of like the unsung heroes of a film. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So for this one, the unsung heroes of this film is going to be the New York construction team. Because after they've killed Godzilla, those guys are going to be busy for years. And they're the true unsung heroes of this film. If they've got to rebuild New York, pretty much.
Is there anyone we could think immediately comes to mind that we could name that after? I feel like there must be somebody somewhere that's the definition of that. Can't think of any off the top of my head.
The Jesus Word Carpenter.
The Michael
No,
Keaton
not the- what's it
Vulture
called?
Award.
The Joseph Award.
Joseph Award. Oh, because he's a
His fake dad.
Yeah, I was
Unsung
gonna say
hero.
Michael Keaton because he's Vulture and he's got to do the assembly after.
All right, I meant more from the unsung hero aspect.
No,
I mean,
I know, but yeah.
we'll come up with somebody. Somebody eventually will be. That is the definition of unsung hero.
Yeah,
Like
no,
New York
no,
construction
Yeah,
of the
no,
unsung hero.
unsung heroes is the New York construction team in this film.
Right, so my best supporter, I'm putting oh fucking who am I putting? Hank Azaria. I liked him.
I went Jean Rene Rousseau for this
I
one.
would say him. He is.
Oh fuck, I forgot about him. Yeah, I'll
he
accept
is
that.
amazing what he does.
Blah, 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 blah. Best team, the Jeans and Philippe.
The French insurance company. Yes, that's what I've got.
They were pretty good till they died.
Yeah, biggest bell end is Audrey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Audrey stealing the footage for her own
Yeah.
personal gain. Yes.
The best death is Jean Philippe. He's the one who is doing all the clicking as the baby Godzilla jumps on him and attacks him.
I'm going to say Godzilla. That got me.
Oh,
I got
that's
feels.
a shout. That's a shout. It's Godzilla.
It broke
It
me.
is Godzilla. Yeah.
That's a good one. Best plan / worst plan is trap Godzilla in the bridge. Although worst plan because now they need to create a new bridge, and they're trapped themselves.
Right. No,
I'm back to Unsung Heroes again.
the worst plan is sending a nuclear submarine after Godzilla, considering a nuclear submarine and nuclear tests is what caused Godzilla in the first place. So how did
Absolutely.
they know launching a nuclear torpedo, whatever they did to him, would hurt him?
Also, not only is it adjacent to Manhattan, but it was going to happen basically right outside where their tented village was that they'd set up. So, aye, we'll just nuke this lizard 200 yards over there. That'll be absolutely fine. Yeah.
They actually nuke him. I thought it was just a random torpedo that they hit him with.
I think it
Nuclear
was,
submarine, I'm
but
pretty
it was a
sure.
nuclear submarine. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that part.
But also,
Eh,
how big is the water table like New York?
Yeah. No wonder the guy didn't catch anything when he's fishing.
I got him now. Fucking hell, the fish are dead. Best twist, there's still one egg.
No,
Aye, I
best,
suppose.
I'm going to say the best twist is Godzilla didn't actually die and came back because I genuinely thought that film was over.
Yeah, I kind of was there.
It
Yeah,
had
but I think
three-
the
it
egg's
had
better.
three endings. This was like Lord of the Rings before Lord of
Yeah.
the Rings, I think.
I
I think the egg's
say-
better.
Back in the day, I generally thought if they ended the film on a cliffhanger, you automatically got a sequel.
Yeah,
I
same.
waited fucking 20 years for a sequel to this film that never came.
Yeah, you're right. Me too. It's like, oh, they wouldn't have done it otherwise. It's like me
Yeah.
with what did we watch recently? Terminator 1. It's like, oh, there's definitely going to be Terminator 2. Like,
What special effects I've mentioned is the Godzilla eye coming up, and then blinking
Nah,
and then
you guys all
disappearing.
watched the wrong version. It was pretty.
that was
bang on.
better. That wasn't offensive. I think most
hated
of
that
the
bit.
little raptor ones were the worst. But actually, anything involving a giant lizard running around.
They were
was
all
the
pretty
worst.
good. You guys all watched the bad versions.
My best set was Madison Square Garden.
I suppose. I'm assuming it was Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if they actually filmed there. I don't know if you can get enough time to film there because it's like sports happening all year round.
Well, then it was a set then, but they built it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
All right, I wasn't listening. Sorry.
No, I was rambling.
Best animal is Godzilla.
No.
Best animal's animal.
Animal is best animal.
I got confused with this here. Like entrances and exits. Like my exit is Godzilla coming out of the building to take down 2 helicopters. But like He also, the first time you see him, is kind of a big entrance, but he exits water. I got confused with
No, an entrance.
Right.
That's
Dynamic.
An entrance in the scene.
Yeah.
The scene.
I think an entrance is usually either you enter a scene or you enter the film.
Yes.
It's not just I've walked through a door. I don't
Yes.
think. I think it has to be an entrance.
Yes.
I took all like the entrances and exits literally.
No.
Yes, exactly. And an exit, it's not because exit's not a death. It is
Yeah.
basically how you leave a scene. Is
Yes.
basically it's very niche as exit. Entrance is a lot easier to find, I think.
Well, see, I mean, he exited the building, like he smashed through it, so
Well,
he took them
it-
2 helicopters.
fair enough. But then he didn't like the camera went with him. The scene carried on. He didn't exit. They didn't leave the film. So yeah.
Also,
so
I
not
don't
really.
understand how he did that. How you went fucking in that wee hole, down, across, and up, and nobody's like nothing happened.
Sewers.
Because it's a giant shapeshifter that tiptoes, or like most Godzillas and
He's a
giant monsters in every
T-1000
movie.
Godzilla. He morphed into the building. And
Yeah.
went, "Bleh."
Even the T-Rex in Jurassic Park shakes the ground. It goes boom, boom, and all that. No, people can lose this gigantic, monstrous T-Rex. He tiptoes. Oh, sneak down his little. No one will know I'm here. Like to crawl on his belly so it doesn't make any loud noises. It's like a ninja lizard. Is this gigantic thing?
Best chase is Godzilla chasing the car.
I suppose it's probably his
Yeah.
best chase. Yeah, and it is a car chase, I guess. So.
Best accent, if it actually was him, is Roach's American accent.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Worst accent is Lucy's New York accent. It's really annoying. She's the one that shouts.
No, the pal of Audrey.
American. Aye, yeah, that's good. Best song. I like the P Diddy "Come With Me," despite the fact that "Deeper Underground" is my funeral song.
Yep. I still like Deeper Underground, the 2 seconds it was played in the party.
I've got Deeper Underground written down, so it wins on 201.
Okay.
But I'm the same as Chris. I quite like the other one. Actually, I prefer the Led Zeppelin version, to be honest, the P Diddy one. But
Best product placement is Mitre, and Madison Square Garden behind one of the genres. There's a football there for ages.
yes,
This is
so
heavily
on it.
contested.
right, it will
So-
be.
It starts off with where was that? Taco Bell. You see the Taco Bell bag in the French. They've got a sitting with a Taco Bell.
Oh, I
bag.
missed that one. I missed
That
that.
was sitting there. Then you've got pretty much all the sponsorship at Madison Square Garden. Then you've got Blockbuster, which is
Yeah, it was
Blockbuster.
very prominent. Yeah.
However,
I never noticed.
the one that wins because it's in not 1 but 2 scenes is Hershey's chocolates because the
Right.
mayor
Oh, yeah.
Hershey's,
The Mitre.
his bag of Hershey's.
Good shout.
And it's
Now,
in 2 scenes.
along with Chris Mitre, but also they seem to be like launching the MLS at the same time as it. Like it was a very big MLS. So that must have I had that. But I've gone with one you've not mentioned, Wrigley's gum.
Yeah.
Like the
That was
gum
the-
that they
yeah,
had
that's
was
it,
quite
yeah.
clearly
Yes.
Wrigley's, is it the fruity, whatever it's called,
Yeah,
the yellow
the
packet
Yellow
one.
ones.
So I had that, but it's Andy's award, so he says what he says goes Hershey's.
Hershey's,
I'm
I
out.
reckon.
So best animal is animal, but best badass is also animal. Animal had no reason to do anything that he did. Like he's not looking for a great story. He's just
No, he was
I'm
gunning
gonna-
for his threesome.
what it was, yeah. But he's like, I'm gonna go film this, and I'm gonna run out to the street, and come on, Audrey, we'll go do this, and we'll go straight in where we know there's a whole bunch of dinosaurs. Like he's best badass because he had no reason to do it. Best character name, I've got the Jean hyphens, the Jean Philippe's and the Jean Luc's. They're all having the same name. It's funny. I did not know that coming in.
No.
Best Death Godzilla. We've done that. Done that as well. My goodness. Danny Don Jules. Did we settle on something? I've got Glenn Morshower, but I don't think that's right. So
Mine was just most unexpected, which was Al Young or whatever it's called.
yeah, I think we'll go. I'll leave it on.
Because yeah, just as soon as a Japanese bad guy or a Chinese bad guy, it's like it's him. Yeah.
The thing is, that's the thing. The two actors are both playing to type. Like, you imagine a Chinese,
Glenn
a
Morshower,
Japanese
yeah.
henchman.
General.
So it's going to be him. And as mentioned, a general. It's going to be Glenn Morshower. Oh, it is
Yeah.
him. So they're kind of expected, but also it's funny that it showed up again. Worst acting, Matthew Broderick slipped by.
Glenn is best cameo then because he's literally in that one scene as his
Not a
what he does
cameo,
in
I'm
every
not-
other film.
You still don't know what a cameo is, Chris. Matthew Broderick, worst acting is somehow been missed. Sorry, Chris. I can't even. We're about 3 hours deep into this podcast. I can't go down the cameo route again. And then worst special effects. So I've got the same everything I was mentioned. 0.9 on the podcast. The moral of the story. The moral of the story for this film: follow the source material. That is the moral of the story, I would say. Chris, what's your moral story? I apologise.
Yeah, if at first you don't succeed, try the exact same thing over and over again.
More fish.
Yes, good. And Andy, what's your moral story?
Always find the eggs.
Always find the eggs. Fair enough, okay. Point 10 is the 10-point rating where we rate the film out of 10. I've got it alphabetical because we all picked it together. So Andy, you're first.
Yeah, you guys are not going to believe this. This is an absolute belter 8.
Oh, what the hell?
I absolutely love this film. It's a guilty pleasure. It just came out after Jurassic Park. I was like, I love Jurassic Park, and then suddenly I got a bigger dinosaur ripping up New York just after I had a tea. I was all over this film. This was the pinnacle of me.
the best movie ever. Yeah. I've gone for a very, in all caps, generous 2 points for this film. It was at various stages heading for a 1 where I'm like, it took an hour for the phone to come out, and I'm like, that's the phone come out, and I'm like, oh my god, dear. But honestly, the scene behind Chris, the last bit with Godzilla's death, basically, I was like, okay, it's not a 1. It's not a 1. But yeah, dreadful. There's so much wrong with this film. So much wrong with it. Chris, what's yours?
I've always said that I'm like Andy. I've got a soft spot for this film. Not quite in the same level as him. Like for me, like CGI hasn't aged well at all.
No, really
You
does.
kind of watched the wrong version.
I really take a dislike to Audrey in this time around as well, but I don't hate it, so I'm giving it a 4.
4 from Chris. Sorry, 5. Very heavily
That's
weighted
right.
by Andy. Yeah, a 5. I guess I can admit.
This film was
There's
amazing.
something about this film speaks
It
to
was
me.
just like I said, it was like this was the perfect apex time of just I had everything. Like I had like the toys. I was there. I was at the right age.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, I think I was a bit too young, and
Yeah, same.
And then it's like a year later, it's like, you know what? We'll go watch Godzilla.
Yeah, if Jurassic Park had come out when Godzilla did, I'd have had every Jurassic Park toy, I think. But I was just like, I saw the film because it was massive, but I didn't get all in on it. And of course, Jurassic Park. I think did we all give Jurassic Park a 10? I think it may be the perfect 10. Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that was the first perfect film we did.
Yeah.
So I'd rather watch that twice than watch this again, I think. The theme, I don't know if there's a theme for the wheel, but not the wheel, the Pick of Destiny, is the Pick of Destiny itself, the Races D movie. Saw, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then Godzilla in 1998. I don't think there's a theme.
There's not a theme.
Really.
Nah.
They're not quite all in one day. They're not quite all in one place. They're there, and there's not really much that. Tenacious D is a wee bit separate to the others. Others are a little bit kind of more violent. But anyway, the next pick on the podcast is Chris's final pick of the season 8's final Chris pick, which I think he decided about an hour ago. I think so. Chris, what is
this
your
my final pick? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of this season, certainly, unless you're quitting. I don't know.
I might do. Well, let's choose my dealer. Okay, well, since my whole season's been about Inceptions, I'm going to pick Inception.
Right. Okay. I did wonder if it was coming. I did wonder.
What a Christmas film. It's kind of like it's like a kaleidoscope, I suppose. That's Christmas, isn't it?
It's early for Christmas. I think we can let away with this. Inception, Leo DiCaprio again.
No, I had in my head I had one more pick, so you're lucky.
I think I'm right. I'm pretty sure this is. I think we've all got one more pick to go, and it's the Pick of Destiny to finish. I think. Inception, Leo DiCaprio. Who else is in it?
I'm going to wipe out a lot of Andrew's actors here. Maybe.
My
yeah.
pick's locked in. It's fine.
Michael Caine, Tom Hardy, Marion Cotillard, Cillian Murphy,
Elliot Page.
I wonder if Al Young's
Ellen Page, Justin Gordon-Levitt. Yeah, millions of people, and one of Andy's favorite, Christopher Nolan. Of course, he loves Nolan. He does. He loves him.
Nolan.
So there we go. 1 week, 7 days to find Inception. You've probably got it on Blu-ray. It's one of these films everyone's got, and we'll see you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.